Mars, the god of war in Roman mythology, is one of the most influential and significant deities in the Roman pantheon. His life was filled with adventures and wars, embodying the spirit of battle and conflict. Unlike the Greek god Ares, Mars was not only associated with violence and war, but also with justice, protection, and even agriculture. Mars was the son of Jupiter and Juno. According to some versions of the myth, Mars was born in a unique way. Juno, feeling jealous after Jupiter gave birth to Minerva on his own, sought revenge by giving birth to Mars without Jupiter's involvement. Flora, the goddess of flowers, gave Juno a magical flower, enabling her to conceive Mars by herself. As the god of war, Mars was constantly involved in battles and adventures. Unlike Minerva, who represented strategic warfare and wisdom in battle, Mars embodied the raw violence and destruction of war. His main weapon was the spear, and he was often depicted in shining armor, riding a war chariot into battle. One of his most notable adventures occurred during the Trojan War. Mars sided with the Trojans against the Greeks, supporting gods like Hera and Athena. Despite his immense power, Mars suffered several defeats in the war, most famously when he was wounded by the Greek hero Diomedes with the help of Athena. This forced Mars to retreat from the battlefield. One of Mars' most famous adventures involves the legendary twins Romulus and Remus, who would go on to found the city of Rome. It is said that Mars visited the virgin priestess Rhea Silvia, and from their union, the twins were born. The brothers were abandoned and thrown into the river by order of King Amulius, but they were saved and raised by a she-wolf. Later, Romulus founded the city of Rome, linking Mars directly to the Roman nation. As such, Mars became the protector of Rome and its people, and his role as a god of war was closely tied to Rome's rise as a dominant military power. Mars was famously involved in a passionate love affair with Venus, the goddess of love and beauty. Despite being the god of war and destruction, Mars was deeply enchanted by Venus, creating a fascinating contrast between love and war. Venus was married to Vulcan, the god of fire and metalworking, and their affair became a famous myth. In one tale, Vulcan discovered their relationship and trapped them in an invisible net made of iron, exposing them to the ridicule of the other gods. Despite this, Mars and Venus continued their romance. Their union gave birth to several children, the most famous of whom was Cupid, the god of love and desire. Mars was not only revered as the god of war but also as a god of agriculture. This dual nature of Mars, connecting war and farming, reflected the Roman way of life, where citizens were both soldiers and farmers. Romans believed that Mars granted victory in battles. As a result, they offered sacrifices and prayed to him before every military campaign, asking for his protection and favor in defeating their enemies. Mars was not just a god of war. He was a complex figure who embodied both the destructive and constructive forces of life. He was honored as the protector of Rome, the father of its founders, and the symbol of Roman military might.